Got it.
All right, here we are. We are live for episode 3 of Professional Casual Fans podcast. I am Andy Palm, coming to you live from Westminster, Maryland, where Chase Young is sitting behind me, doing something.
And I am Cole Dennis, coming from you live from Conway, South Carolina, home of the Coast Carolina Chanticleers.
Here we go.
No one behind me because I look like I still live in a prison.
Sitting in a prison cell. Sitting in a prison cell, nothing but you, a pillow, and some margarita mix, right? Show everybody your margarita mix.
Got this nice little margarita.
There we
Made a
go.
mistake. Filled up this whole cup. This was empty before. Took half the bottle to fill up the whole cup. We got that Uno Mas margarita mix.
There we go.
Doesn't taste so hot, but sponsored by Uno Mas.
Done. Yeah,
I'm joking.
We're gonna get demonetized right away. We got some Arnold Palmer spiked here.
Yeah. I think that has a name
This
to
looks
it.
pretty
Arnold
good.
Palmer.
Tastes like Arizona iced tea.
Isn't there a name to that? Like
It's literally just Arnold
a
Palmer.
John Daly, I think that's what it's called.
See?
Oh, I do see that. Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, it is.
Spike.
Yeah, but this stuff, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's getting the job done. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
I heard that the other day. Post Malone likes John Daly's. Heard it on Kill Tony.
Yeah, he's a big fan of those. Me and Posty, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have 2 Posty posters back here, so Posty posters.
Oh, the Posty poster. Yes. Big fan.
I got those. I got a few shirts, dude. I'm a big Post. A few vinyls over there. Big Post guy. But,
absolutely. I know you are.
Love him. But big sports news. We had Trayvon Diggs tearing his ACL on Thursday. Big blow for the Cowboys secondary. Big blow to their turnover ratio this year. Yardage, maybe not so much. But name-wise, it's still just a fucking huge blow to them.
Yeah, name-wise, definitely a huge blow to them because everyone knows Trevon. He's done a good as Pitts. He's been like the number one pit guy since he's joined the league. So that's going to be the huge issue. I still don't think the Cowboys defense is going to take a big step back. They're still going to be a top 5 defense. They got talent up front. They're going to get pressure on the QBs most games. Maybe not against San Francisco because San Francisco got that O-line. But their secondary is still going to hold it down too. They got Stephon Gilmore. That was a big pickup this offseason. So I think they'll be fine. It's still a big loss, so everyone's going to miss Trevon.
Yeah, they'll be. I agree that they'll be good. I'm interested to see how it goes as far as coverage standpoint, because he's big when it comes to the turnovers, but Trayvon has been giving up a decent amount of yards ever since he entered the league. So we'll see if that actually has a positive or negative effect on the defense. But regardless, you never want to see anybody go down like that. So wishing a speedy recovery to Trayvon. I know he's a dedicated listener to this pod, so big friend of the pod. So we want to wish him the best of luck. Yeah, and we look forward to talking to you the next time you're on.
Yeah, next time we get you on, we'll check in, make sure that knee and ACL is feeling good.
That ACL is as
give
good
you one
as
of
it
those
ever has
good
been.
old Deshaun Watson massages.
Exactly, deep. All right. So other than
deep
Trayvon,
muscle tissue, not anything else, of course.
Nothing else. Just a good old massage that feels good. So, the other stuff, baseball related this time. The Orioles have been, ever since we predicted them to win the AL East, doing everything in their power to, at the same time,
choke.
At the same time choke, at the same time do exactly what they need to do. Beating the Astros 2 out of 3 this week. They lost 2 in a row to the Guardians. And then,
whoa!
and then beat the Guardians tonight after John Means has a huge outing, his best outing by far since coming back from the Tommy John surgery. 2-1 victory for the old O's tonight, taking their magic number all the way down to 5. Blue Jays almost beat the Rays tonight. Very close. That would have took it down to 4, but things are heading in the right direction. At the same time, they're heading in the wrong direction. The bullpen is super worn down. They got a good outing tonight. Like I said, from John Means, they only had to use 2 relievers in Yennier Cano and Cianel Perez. But Monday they get a day off, which will be much needed. And, hopefully this last week of the season they were able to kind of finish on a strong note, because this week has been kind of up and down. A lot of their wins have been kind of miraculous in a way, which isn't exactly what you want to be seeing going into the postseason. But it's kind of a mixed bag from the Orioles in a weird way, something that we haven't seen all year.
Well, at this point, I think teams are just fighting for their chance. Like, I don't know what the not the Indians. I'm sorry, we're trying to get canceled. But the Guardians, they're just fighting for a pride. It feels like at this point, they got some good hitters in that lineup. You got both Bo and Josh Naylor, and then you got Jose Ramirez. So they got some pop with those 3. But John Means puts together a great performance tonight. Huge, considering the bullpen has just been thrown in every game. Like, they need some rest. But thank God he was able to get 7 and 1/3 innings tonight, right? 7 1/3. Yeah. So that will help the bullpen get a little bit of rest. But that Monday break will be huge. Like, I think you said it earlier today, we've had like a big stretch of games where we just haven't had a single break. So
yeah, it's been over 2 weeks since they last had a day off. So it's much
and sealing up that 1 seed is huge. Then, if it's been that long since we've had a break, because that will give us at least a little bit of rest going into the postseason. So hopefully the boys can seal it down. I still have faith they will. I think today will point us in the right direction. It seems like when the pitching's on, like John Means had it, when the starting pitching's on, there's nothing that can really stop this team.
Yeah, if they can win tomorrow, and then if the Rays lose tomorrow, and your magic number's down to 3 for a clinch, and you got a week left, then, I mean, you're looking pretty good. Really only have to win, realistically, probably 2 more games to completely lock it up. So, it's just, I think more so than, like, what you're seeing as far as, I think they will win the division, but, like, in a long-term point of view, what you're seeing from the team going into the playoffs, you don't exactly want to be the team that seems like they are lacking momentum, specifically in the baseball playoffs, where it's like whoever is going in as the hottest team usually does the best. But it really does just come down to the bullpen needs to get it together and give them more rest, and they'll be fine.
See, I don't know if you could ever have called the O's at a single point in this year the hottest team in baseball, though. I think we've been the most consistent team in baseball. Like, we've consistently performed at the same level all year round. We haven't been swept by a single team. We haven't, dropped that many series, but we haven't, ever been dominant throughout the year. The Braves have put up big numbers and have blown out teams, but I feel like every O's game has always been kind of up in the air, but the O's are always able to pull it out at the end. And I feel like we'll be able to continue that into the playoffs. It's just, I don't know. There's just a different vibe around this team this year.
Yeah, let's hope so. Hopefully they can get Felix back at some point here, and hopefully he's pitching at some kind of resemblance of what he was before he got hurt, but you never know. But
yeah,
as long as they're in the playoffs, and they're a really young team. I hope he can
get it going in the playoffs. If he can get it, if he can get it going, if they let him pitch in the playoffs, that'd be huge. Even if it might cost us Tommy John surgery. But I mean, I trust the team. We've been able to hold it down without him. Like I haven't seen like a drop in like winning since he's
Mm-hmm.
been gone. Like I thought there would be somewhat more blown saves, more whatever, more like late game blown leads. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
has been a little bit more, but it hasn't been like a significant jump, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have moments like Friday night where Cano blows that 1-run lead and we lose. Where like, if Batista's in there, we probably don't lose this game. But yeah, for sure, like the bullpen at the end of games has been able to kind of hold it together enough. So, you just kind of hope in the playoffs that with more rest, I guess, as far as like, I think they'll, like this is like another thing that plays into like you want to win the division so that you get a few extra days off. And if they get those few extra days off and they don't have to play in the wild card series, then you're going to get Cano on a full rest. You're going to get Perez on a full rest. And, um, and maybe even Fuji to an extent. I feel like they're constantly waiting on Shintaro Fujinami to like take fire and like he's got
Step
the
it up,
arm.
step it up.
Yeah, like he's got the
He
arm. He
has
can
the
actually.
stuff.
Yeah, he's got the strongest arm in the bullpen. He can throw up to like 104. But the problem is he's a head case. Like as far as like if he's any
Yeah.
pressure situation, he like doesn't seem to be able to perform very well. But
It's either when you see Fuji come out, you either know he's about to go like 1, 2, 3, or he's about to walk the next three batters.
yeah,
It's one or the other.
and you can usually tell by the expression on his face.
Yeah, he comes
Right.
out.
He's doing that. He's
I'm
like
joking. I'm
fidgeting with his
joking. I'm
hat a lot and stuff. Like kind of like playing with his hat all the time. And you're like, we're about to
joking.
fucking lose this game.
Yeah,
All right. So
we're
should
about
we
to
get to
blow
football?
this lead.
Let's get
Yeah,
to football.
absolutely.
All right. So we
So
had
49ers Giants on Thursday
we had Giants Niners on
night.
Thursday, which didn't
40. We
go
both said 49ers would win. Went
exactly.
the
It
way we thought it would.
went completely on schedule. It went completely as planned. Giants got smacked. They're in trouble. Their
Absolutely.
next few games are daunting.
Rough.
Next week they got the Seahawks.
Let me actually take a peek. Giants schedule. They are in a rough position because like you said, they got the Seahawks, which is a good team, and then they got the Dolphins, Bills, and Commanders. So that could all be losses for the Giants. It could be a big regression year for the Giants this year. Honestly, like just looking at it, I don't really have much hope for this team. They haven't really proven anything to me at all this year. The Giants. I mean, like just looking at it last week's game before this 49ers one, the Cardinals game going down 20-0 just doesn't sit right for me. Like you come back, but still like you shouldn't have never been in that position.
Yeah, you got a team that's like the only team in the league really that's like glaringly on the path of we don't want to win, we want to try and get Caleb Williams. And you somehow fall behind 21-0, was it at some point? Or 21-3,
Yeah,
something like that.
It was either 20 or 21-0.
Yeah. And that's just inexcusable. And I think the Giants got a lot of credit last year for overperforming, and they had a semi-weak schedule, but they did have some impressive wins. I remember they beat the Ravens, but that was more so the Ravens kind of stepping on their own dick than anything else. And
yeah, more Lamar thing.
Yeah, like he threw that really bad interception at the end of the game, and they won, which is they still won, but they still played good teams and got their ass handed to them. Like they played the Eagles twice, played the Eagles 3 times, and not even one of those 3 times was a competitive game. Never really competed with the Cowboys, and it's one of those things where it's like, is this year's is it disappointing, or is it like, are you guys just coming back down to your talent range?
See, what I think, the most impressive win most people took from the Giants last year was that playoff win against 13-3 Vikings. But then you got to really, now that we're into another year, you're kind of looking at it in perspective. Both of the teams have been on a regression kind of page this year. So when you really are going to take a look back at things, I feel like it's not going to be their most impressive win of last year, considering both teams have been on a downturn this year, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's kind of, it's surprising just because of like what their record was, but I just don't see any change. I think as far as this year, from what we've seen their last 2 games, I don't see it changing in the next or 3 games. I don't see it changing in the next few weeks here. So
Yeah, me either. It's going to be brutal for Giants fans this year, which sucks because I am a fan of their coach, Dayball. I think he's a really good head coach. I just don't think they have the talent on that roster to get it done this year, which is brutal for him because that could cost him his job.
yeah, and Danny Dimes was the wrong investment to make, even though I know they didn't really have another choice. But it's
Yeah,
it's just tough. But
throwing
it is
that
what it
much
is.
money at him will make it hard to win for future years, also, which is
Yeah, should
never
have gave
good.
him like a 2-year deal or something like that. I don't know if he would have taken it, but
Yeah,
he did look good at times last year, and especially in that playoff game against the
no.
Vikings, he looked decent.
Well, he has his moments. It's a lot like Eli Manning with Danny Dimes. Like, you're gonna have your moments where you're like, oh, this guy is like top 12 quarterback in the league. Like, he has those top 12 moments, and then you're like, oh my god, this should be a bottom 6 quarterback in the league in other games, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Danny Dimes giveth, Danny Dimes taketh away.
Exactly.
All right, what's our next? What's
Exactly.
our first game on the ledger here for the pick'em?
So for the prediction episode, week 3 of the NFL, we're gonna be opening up 1 o'clock slate. Broncos at Dolphins. I'm gonna let you open up with this one.
Broncos Dolphins.
Yep, at Dolphins.
I'm going to be going with the Dolphins. Broncos are on kind of what seems to be a downward spiral. It seems like they kind of paused their downward spiral from last year with a little bit of hope after they hired Sean Payton. But then it was like, oh, wait, Sean Payton doesn't even like Russell Wilson. And it was like, but maybe Russell will still play better. And he hasn't played better. And Russell Wilson seems to play on the same trend of like playing a good first half and then falling off in the second half. It's happened in both of the games so far this season. And I think it's probably going to play almost identical to that. Except I think the Dolphins are probably the best team that they've played by a decent margin this season. So yeah, I say the Dolphins win this game, and it's close at first, but it ends up being a little bit of a rout. I'll go 31-17 Dolphins. They win it. And then this could be, you start 0-3 after 2 home games to open up your season. This could be a real rough start to a very rough season for the Broncos.
Yeah, it definitely. I'm gonna have to agree with you. It definitely is gonna get to a rough start for the Broncos this year, and you just gotta worry for Russell's starting status if they go 0-3 at this point. But Dolphins have looked really impressive the first couple games, putting up 35 or 36 points against that Chargers defense, which is questionable, but still putting up that many points against an NFL defense is always impressive. And then beating out the Patriots last week 24-17, very impressive. I just, like you said, this is going to be the toughest challenge the Broncos have faced all year. I think from week 1 to week 2, it progressed a little bit, and then to week 3, it's going to progress a little bit more with the challenge they're facing. And they couldn't handle the Commanders' offense. And the Commanders' offense looked really decent, really good last week. Not even decent. They looked really good last week against that Broncos defense, which honestly left to me a lot to be desired from a top 10 defense last year. I think if they scored more than 18 points last year in every game, they would have gone 11-6 or something like that. So I'm going to have to take the Dolphins also, 28-24. I think the Broncos will keep it close like they have the past 2 weeks, but I don't think they'll get the job done.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where the Broncos I just don't think are ever going to actually put it together, and they've been kind of fighting off a full rebuild for a while. And
Also, I've heard, I don't even think this was like Sean Payton's number one choice. I think he really wanted to be with the Chargers instead of the Broncos.
yeah, the Chargers have that just a roster ready to go. Like they're,
Yeah.
I'm sure we've covered this each week now as far as like how it's just been a waste of time that they have like maybe one of the most talented rosters in the league, and Brandon Staley is just fumbling it as hard as he possibly could.
Yeah. Just, but it's pretty funny to watch him do it.
It is funny, especially last year with that Jacksonville game. It was like, there's no way
Oh
this
my
guy
God.
survives this, and he did. All right, what's our
And
next game?
then Patriots at Jets. I'll open this one up.
Let's do it.
I'm a firm believer that Zach Wilson just isn't an NFL level quarterback. I do have faith in that Jets defense to be able to keep them in this game though. But my real determining factor in this game comes down to Bill Belichick and his ability to design a defense to confuse quarterbacks like Zach Wilson or lower tier quarterbacks. He always seems to be able to confuse them. So I'm going to take the Patriots 21-17 in this game and another defensive battle.
Okay. I would think the Patriots would win this game. It does seem like the Patriots should win this game. They're 0-2 right now. You don't really see Bill Belichick going 0-3. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Jets are going to win this game. Because it's a home game for the Jets. I think that defense is good enough to win them games. They won week 1 for them, and the Bills are a better team than the Patriots are. And I think just the talent level as far as everywhere else except the quarterback position goes, the Jets are the better team. And I don't think at quarterback that the Patriots are necessarily that much better than the Jets are. So I have the Jets winning this game 20-13. It's a last-minute battle. Zach Wilson still throws 2 interceptions, I think. But the Jets find a way to get it done because Mac Jones just can't find a way to solve the Jets' defense.
See, if the Patriots lose this game to me, it's the end of the Belichick era. Like, this could be the last season if the Patriots
I think we're
lose
looking
this
at that
game.
already.
Just because, I mean, it could be possibly, but I feel like it's a definite if the Patriots lose this game. Just because, the Jets have lost. The Patriots have beaten the Jets 14 straight times. I know half of that's Tom Brady, maybe a little bit over half of that's Tom Brady, but at least the last 6 games have been Matt Jones. He's been able to get the Jets out of the way and guarantee wins whenever you play the Jets if you're a Patriots fan. So it's kind of like the Steelers and the Browns to me. Like whenever the Steelers lose to the Browns, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Like, we beat the Browns every year. We shouldn't be losing these games. So like, if the Patriots lose to the Jets, it's the end of an era, I feel like. So, and it will be sad because I think Belichick's like 18 or so wins out from the all-time record, and I feel like they really want to get him in that Patriots uniform, but if he can't even get it done against the Jets anymore, it will be Zach Wilson. Like, Zach Wilson, if he can't get it done against him, it will be the end of an era in New England.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those toss-up games, but I just don't think the Jets are bad enough. Like Zach Wilson is not good, but this Jets team is good enough to overcome him. I feel like in certain instances where the team that they're playing isn't incrementally better than them.
Yeah.
So, that's why I think they win this game, because I think they kind of just overcome his shortcomings.
Yep.
All right, what's our
I
next
can
game?
see it. Texans at Jaguars.
Another one that I feel like is pretty easy. Like, I think the Jags are going to win this game handily. I think the Texans are kind of going to start losing steam here as far as their like sort of like kind of sneakiness or whatever, whatever you want to call it, like the kind of gritty, sort of playing it out like you saw in Baltimore as the season goes along, and they start to fall further and further behind. So I'm going to take the Jags 28-10.
Mm.
Excuse me.
So I will also be taking the Jags in this game, but I think it will be a little closer. I was impressed by the Texans' defense against the Ravens. I don't know how much that was more just Ravens miscommunication, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the Texans' defense. I like their young players, but I still think the Jags are just going to be the dominant team in the AFC South, and the Texans still have a lot to be desired to hit their potential, really. So I'm going to take it 27-20 Jaguars.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Texans, as Stroud kind of figures it out even more, like putting up more points. I could definitely see that.
No. We'll move on to the next one then. Titans at Browns. I'll open this up. I was honestly really impressed with the Texans, not the Texans, the Titans win against the Chargers. I thought the Chargers would have probably ran away. They got out to an early hot start. The Chargers did, but the Titans. I'm sorry about that. The Titans were able to hang around, and then they were kind of just that team that hung around long enough to then just force overtime and then force a 3-and-out and then march down the field with their powerful run game. I like Vrabel as a coach. He seems to be one of the best head coaches in the league. I'd give him a top 8 head coaching position in the league. He always has that defense ready to go. And the Browns, without Nick Chubb, I just don't really have faith in that offense. I think he was the motor of that offense. He was the best running back in the league to me for the past couple years. So I'm going to take the Titans in a close one, 26-24, just because the Titans don't blow anyone out. So,
Yeah, I think I'm going to be right with you. Yeah, I think the Titans win this game just because the Browns just seem kind of lost. Like Deshaun Watson seems just completely broken out there. Like he just does not seem to. Whatever he had in Houston was lost when he got. When he's not allowed to have the massages he feels like he needs.
yeah.
he just has completely lost it. Um,
Well, I will not have faith in him until he shows me a reason to have faith again. I had a little bit of faith when he first signed, but then I was like, after the like 10-game sample we have now, I'm like, you got to earn my faith back.
Yeah, it's like you could play off those few games by like, he's just kind of getting back into football shape. Like he's kind of just getting his things together, and every now and then he has a throw where you're like, okay, he's starting to get it back. But it's too many times now where there's too many things in between those throws where you're like, okay, this is just not working, and you can't really blame it on the fact that he doesn't have any weapons because he had Nick Chubb, and then now he has Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper, who are both more than capable receivers. And David Njoku's a decent tight end too. So he should be able to make that work. There's an argument that that's more talent than he ever really had in Houston at one time.
It definitely
So,
is.
yeah. So you start to wonder, like, okay, is it just lost? And I think this game is one more so in the fact that the Browns are just underperforming, which is normal for them. But, yeah, I mean, Vrabel always has his guys ready to go. Tannehill, Derrick Henry. This team's always going to be
Tannehill
ready to
was
roll.
really impressive last week.
Yeah,
Tannehill, honestly, showed me a lot. I was ready to question that it was the end of the line for him. Like, I think week after week one, going like our first show, I think I said something about Tannehill's came to the end. It's over for him. but he proved me wrong because I took the Chargers last week because I thought that, and then he showed up.
Yeah, I mean, he always just kind of does what he needs to do. So, I think, like we said last pod, the Titans have like the most wins when they're going into a game as an underdog. So, like, what's any different here? And, I think these are two evenly matched teams. And when you're looking at two evenly matched teams, you usually go with the team that's the better coached. And after losing Nick Chubb, who was their best offensive weapon, Deshaun Watson isn't going to have anybody to kind of lean on. So I'm going to go with a 24-20 win for the Tennessee Titans.
You were the first person to bring up that stat I've heard about the Vrabel going into underdog games, because I've heard that the past day and a half. I've been listening to YouTube stuff and people be like, Vrabel going into underdog games, and I was like, my boy Andy already said that. Get the fuck out of here.
That's
Falcons
right. We come to
at
this
Lions
podcast for the first takes. We don't come to them for
Yeah,
people who are just going to follow up on things.
absolutely. I mean, they're listening to us, thinking they
Yeah.
can steal our material. Falcons at Lions. You can open this one up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go with the Lions on this one. Lions are seemingly doing what the Lions do as far as I think last season there was a little bit of high expectations put on them. This season there was really high expectations put on them, especially after that Week 1 win. And they do what they do. They lose a game that they probably should have won, like last week. But I think this week they kind of get back on track and they beat the Falcons. Falcons are 2-0, but I think it's a little bit of a shallow 2-0. So, I think that the Falcons kind of come back to the median a little bit here. And then the Lions do what they need to do to win this game. I think Jared Goff will play well. That offense will be moving against the Falcons defense that's good but not great. And I think the Lions defense is able to stifle Desmond Ridder and hold Bijan Robinson to a reasonable amount. And I think the Lions win this game. Let me think. I'm going to go 31-28. It's a close one. One at the end of the game by a field goal.
Yeah, I definitely have this game being close also. I think this is one of the most coin flip games of the week. The Falcons have looked good the past 2 weeks. I think their run game has really been established this season. Desmond Ridder hasn't looked the sharpest, but he's done enough to win the games. He hasn't made the mistakes to lose them. So I actually was leaning Falcons. I know the Lions at home put up a lot of points usually, at least last year they did, but something I have put into question ever since last week. So last year, the Lions went into Carolina as favorites, looking for a playoff berth, and they lost the game. And then last week against the Seahawks as favorites, lost that game. So I'm starting to think maybe a little bit of that pressure to win, like as a overdog. They're not the underdog anymore. They're the overdog. So I think they haven't been able to rely on that underdog mentality when you have that going for you. So I'm taking the Falcons 24-20 in this game and a close one.
All right, then. In Bijan, you trust.
We've already split on 2. This is as many as last week. It's going to be different. It's going to be different.
And then we just agree on everything else.
Yeah, I know. No, we ain't. I know we ain't. Saints at Packers. This was another tough one for me. The Saints offense has looked pretty embarrassing the past couple weeks, and I have said on a couple shows that Derek Carr is my sleeper MVP of the year, so he has to step it up soon. But I honestly don't think that's going to be this week. I think when Alvin Kamara comes back, this Saints offense will take off a lot more. He just adds another dynamic to that team, being a weapon out of the backfield and running the ball in general. When he gets handoffs, he could turn any play into a 60-yard run. But I'm still rolling with the Saints just because I think their defense will be able to scheme up something to confuse Jordan Love. It's a veteran-led defense with Cam Jordan at the front line. Then you got Demario Davis in the linebacker core, and then Marshawn Lattimore in that secondary. So they got veterans in every
and Tyrann Mathieu too.
Yeah, veterans in all positions of that defense. So I think they'll be able to confuse Jordan Love. I got them winning 2017 against the Packers.
Is it in New Orleans or is it in Green Bay?
It is in Green Bay.
This is Green Bay's first home game, right? I think it is.
I
they played in
think
Chicago and
so.
they played in Atlanta.
Yeah, then yeah.
Yeah, so I've kind of been I feel like I've taken the Packers under my wing almost as like a secondary team because I feel like I really want them to do well. I
To
like
perform.
Love. I think he's got what it takes. He just looks calm back there. He looks like he knows what he's doing. And even last week against Atlanta, like they played a decent game. Like he probably like they had a real good shot at winning that game last week.
Last week, yeah, they really did. Should have won that game.
Yeah,
they were up like 6 or something, 10-6, something like that, and going into the fourth.
And they had a chance there. It was just a dropped pass that was originally ruled a catch, but he clearly dropped it under review on fourth down. But yeah, I think I'm going to go New Orleans this week as well. Another week where you're kind of looking at a toss-up. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay wins this game. But I think New Orleans defense is legit. Like, I think they have what it takes. They've now had 2 weeks in a row where they look the part. And at some point, Derek Carr in this offense is going to have too many weapons to not be performing. And
yeah,
I don't know if it's this week, but I think this week they at least look a little bit more put together. And they're able to kind of put together a few more drives. And the Green Bay defense, I just don't really trust that much. So I'm going to go New Orleans with a 20 – what did you say?
I said 2017.
2017.
It's a good score.
It is. I love the score because it's always just like a fucking – like you're just like, what the hell am I? You just pick two common scores that you're thinking would make sense. I'm going to go like 21 to – I'll go 21-14. I'll go a nice even 3 touchdowns to 2. 21-14
So now that you say the score thing, I went a little weird with my scores this week. Last week I was like conventional scores, and this week I went a little unconventional in some of these games.
You had a 26-24 in there. I was like, damn, we're having some field
I know.
goals.
I know, Tony. I'm one of those analysts on those shows that are like, it's gonna be 19-18 today, and you're like, no fucking way, it's gonna be that score.
Dude, we gotta be, dude. You zig when they zag.
Yeah. Bills at Commanders. Now, this game, I'm not gonna lie, I almost took the Commanders here. For some reason, I saw some stats. The Commanders are number 1 in like QB pressures, tied for first in like sats. They have a lot of defensive line numbers that I really like, and I think defensive line is one of the most important things, especially when you're playing a quarterback against like Josh Allen, who's going to be running around trying to escape the pocket. But I think your defense will be able to contain him. I really, fuck it. I'm making an audible. I'm going to go with the Commanders. I'm going to go with the Commanders over the Bills.
Young in the background. Chase Young made him feel the pressure.
I'm making an audible because I really feel like this could be the Bills' down year. I feel like not like down, but like a 10-7, 11-6 kind of year. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take the Commanders just because their defense has really impressed me the first weeks, and that offense last week looked phenomenal against a defense I thought would be like a top 10 defense in the league this year. So I'm going to roll with the Commanders 28-24.
I love it. I love the love. That's what I really love.
Yes.
Just all the love here, dude. I'm Jordan Love over here.
Jordan Love.
Well, this will be a game where we're going to have boots on the ground. The Professional Casual Fan podcast will be on set for this game. I will be there. I will be in about 9 hours to the dot. I will be on my way to FedEx Field for this Bills Commanders
That's what I
matchup.
like to hear.
I wish I had your confidence. I do believe it's going to be a close game.
I saw the take earlier today. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't confident, and I saw the take earlier today. I'm not gonna lie, and I was like, "Damn, that dude has some good stats, making me believe." And now I believe. Now I believe.
You were buying in. You bought in, but
I'm buying in.
The Commanders, the Bills' offensive line is not great, and the Commanders' defensive line is great, maybe the best in the league, and that is going to be a huge part. I see a game where the Commanders are looked at as like, okay, they do have what it takes. Like, this offense is legit, the defense is great, but I don't know if they necessarily get over that hump just yet. So I think I'm going to actually go with the Bills in this one. As insane as that seems. I'm going to go...
Mr. Non-bias. I appreciate the non-biasness.
You got to go every now and then. And maybe it's superstition of me, like, trying to just go in, like, with low expectations.
Yeah, jinxing your Bills.
Exactly. I'm going to go Bills 24-20. And I think it's the Commanders have it at the, they have a chance at the final minute, and they just don't quite get it done. But it's a game that the Commanders walk away from thinking, okay, we can do this. We can take on those top teams because we are one of those top teams. And I think that they walk away from this game feeling good about it. And there's no feel good losses, but it's one of those games where,
if you keep it close, it's a feel good for the Commanders fans, I feel like. Like, the Bills have been a solid team the past couple years. If you keep this close and even lose, you're just like, hey, this is a moral victory. Moral victory Monday.
And you don't want to take moral victories, obviously, but it's one of those things where I do believe in Sam Howell. I think he's already proven in these past 2 weeks that he does belong in the league in some capacity. And it's one of those things that you'll see as maybe as more tape is built on him, like what is he actually is. But I'm happy with him, but I do think the Bills find a way to pull this one out.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I was leaning Bills at first, but something in me has gotten this Commanders itch. Like, I wrote it down a couple minutes ago that I was gonna take the Bills, but something about this game is just, I feel like it's just such a trap game for the Bills. Like, it feels like a game they should win, but I feel like the Commanders just sneak up. No one's really expecting them to be a super good team this year, but I feel like the Commanders could pull it off. They got the weapons at receiver. They got a defense that could be top 10. They got a top 3 pass rush, I say. Like, that defensive front is dominant in any situation. You got Chase Young, Deron Payne, right? You got Deron Payne.
We do have Deron Payne, fresh off that 4-year deal.
Then Montez Sweat. All of those people are just wicked coming off the defensive line. So I'm gonna have faith in your boys.
Yeah, I mean, they're game wreckers. Every single guy on it's one of those things where you can't double anybody. So if they could make Josh Allen's life hell, like power. I think I could easily make the argument that as much as I think the Bills are going to win, and I think part of me is just the pessimistic sort of thinking that the Commanders are going to find a way to fuck it up. But you could easily make the argument that the Bills are not as talented as people think they are, that they are honestly, when you put their roster to the Commanders roster, they're almost even, and that the Commanders are better defensively than the Bills are, and that could be the breaking point because the Commanders are more offensively talented other than at the quarterback position. But,
Well,
you know,
I think what the Commanders have going for them this year is that the football gods will be shining good light upon them because of the firing of Dan Snyder finally getting up out of there. So I
the
think the
snide is
football gods,
gone.
yeah, I think the Commanders will return back to glory eventually. Like I think this is one of their years to step further towards that step back to glory to those old
Back to their
days because
scheduled programming.
the Washington team used to be they are a historic team. Like you look back at the prior before the 2000s, it is one of the most historic franchises in the NFL. So I think they'll
Absolutely.
be able to get back there.
Let's hope so. I really hope so. All right, what's our next game before we get too caught up on this one?
We got 0-2 and 0-2 going against each other. Chargers at Vikings. And I'll start off here. I think the Vikings have played two competitive games, two close games. Both teams have played two close games. It's just, I don't know. The Vikings, I think, have had harder opponents than the Chargers. I'm not really that high on the Titans. I am high on the Dolphins, but the Titans game really threw me off with that Chargers team. Like, I really had a lot of faith going into that. I just don't think Brandon Staley's a good coach. I do like the Vikings head coach. I don't remember his name right now, but I know he's a good coach. He led the team to 13-3 last year. They won a lot of one possession games. I know that's been their downfall this year,
You
losing
didn't
those
even
one
bless me
possession
when I
games.
sneezed.
I'm sorry. I'm just focused. Super focused on this Chargers Vikings.
I thought we were podcast partners.
I wish you happy birthday on your birth at like 12:05, dog. Get out of here.
I'm over here fighting for my life with a sneeze. You're just talking over. God damn. All right, sorry. Continue your Brandon Staley rant.
No, Brandon Staley's just been a disappointment ever since he's arrived, it seems like. And I trust the Vikings to pull this game out way more than the Chargers. I think it will be close. I think it will be a shootout. I think Justin Jefferson might put up 200 yards in this game just because of how depressing that Chargers defense has been for years now. So I'm going to go 36-33 Vikings. Also, Kirk Cousins, even though he's been losing, he's looked phenomenal this year. So
He has. And like a lot of people seem to think that if the Vikings lose this game that they're going to just mail it in to try and go after Caleb Williams. But Kirk still has it. And Kirk is a good quarterback. It's going to be hard to outdo what he's able to do.
I don't think it's been on him, these losses. I think it's just been they fumble a lot. It's a weird thing. They haven't thrown a lot of picks. I don't think Kurt might have one, but I'm not even sure if he has one interception this year. I feel like it's mostly just been fumbles that are killing him.
It's fumbles, and it's the fact that their defense is exactly what they were last year. And it's like they hired Brian Flores and thought all of their problems were going to be solved. And it's like at some point, like the talent is the problem. You need to address that. You can't just have Daniil Hunter and think everything's going to be okay. So, they needed to do more on that side of the ball, and they just didn't address it at all. And first-round pick using it on a receiver may have not been the most prudent idea. Even though Jordan Addison does look like he is the real deal as far as a compliment to Jefferson. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Chargers probably pull this one out. They're the better team, even though Staley is just a hapless
I took the
coach.
Vikings.
Oh, you took the Vikings?
Yeah, did I not say Vikings? Did I say Chargers?
Maybe you did. I was so caught up in my not being told bless you that I didn't even
I might have said, well, I took the Vikings just to clear that up. Just let's not hope I said that earlier, but
I think you did. Maybe I was just
if I didn't.
The sneeze just
if I didn't, Vikings 36-33.
Like the sneeze just crossed my circuits there. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Chargers because I think they're in a mode where they need to win now. Staley's in desperation mode. If Kevin O'Connell doesn't win this year, it's not a huge deal. I don't think he's going to get fired for that. I still think he's a really good coach. But I'm going to take the Chargers simply off the fact that I think both sides of the ball, they're a better team. And I'm going to go, let's think, 31-27 Chargers.
See, that's the thing with the Chargers. They always have the better, like, you look at their roster and you're always like, they got the better team. Like, you're like, look at the players the matchup usually, and you're like, I feel like the Chargers have the better team, but they seem to just always let you down.
Yeah, they find a way. They're very impressive with that, especially when it comes to pick'em leagues.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But we'll move on to the next one. Colts at Ravens. I think we're both going to have the same opinion on this one, but I'll let you open up here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ravens over the Colts, even though I think actually the Colts are a better team than we're giving them credit for. And I almost think Gardner Minshew gives them a better chance of winning than Anthony Richardson does at the moment. I think it's a close game. I think it's a defensive game. Excuse me again. But I think the Ravens win this game in classic Raven fashion, where it's not exactly an offensive showdown. I'm going to go 17-13 Ravens in a game where the Ravens fans are left to wonder what they exactly just watched.
See, part of me, I think it's because I'm a Steelers fan. Part of me wanted me to lean Colts, but trying to take an objective lens to this game, I really can't see a way that the Ravens will lose this game, especially with Gardner Minshew starting. I like Gardner. I think he's a cool story. I love the mustache. Like, this dude has been a stud since he's been with the Jaguars. He's had interesting game. He's put up big numbers when he was on the Eagles. Now he's on the Colts. So he's always possible. He's like the new Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's always possible he can pull out some of that magic, but like, really, it's highly unlikely. Yeah, it's highly unlikely though. So honestly, this is the game I think the Ravens show off that flash on offense. I think they're going to dominate this game. I got them winning like 38-20.
A big time one.
Yeah, I think this is
the
a big
kind of
win
win that
for
the
the Ravens.
Baltimoreans are going to be like, we're going all the way this year.
I hope they're going into the Steelers week 4-0 because I'm going to that Pittsburgh Ravens game in Pittsburgh week 5. So I hope they're going in 4-0. All right, we'll move on.
Letdown.
Panthers. Yeah, I know, and then I'll cry. Panthers at Seahawks. This is another one I think is pretty obvious. The Panthers' offense has looked pretty horrific this year. Haven't really gotten anything going. Losing DJ Moore really has been a big loss on their offensive side. There's not a lot of explosive players. He was one of the few when he was on the team, but there's just none on offense. They still have a good defense, I feel like. They got some nice young talent with Brian Burns, CJ Horn, or
JC.
Right? Is it CJ? JC Horn. I made the same
mistake last pod.
Yeah, they got a couple people with just 2-letter names.
Yeah.
But JC Horn and some other dude. Brian Burns, that's the other dude.
Guy. Yeah.
Durant, the Brown guy. Oh. But his name Derek Brown. But
Derek Brown.
It's all about Derek Brown. His last name's Brown. That's the dude. But
there we go. We can always edit.
But I'm going to take the Seahawks just because I think they just got a better overall team. They were rolling last week. They put up a big game against the Lions. I'm going to take the Seahawks 34-17. This team's in Seattle. So I don't think Bryce Young really has a chance.
Yeah, Bryce Young's kind of lost and staggered. He kind of looks like a third-string quarterback when he's out there. And that's not entirely his fault. He doesn't really have the greatest supporting cast, and I don't know if he's necessarily NFL ready. But yeah, I'm going to take the Seahawks in a pretty handle victory. I'm going to go 24-10, and I think that 7 points for the Panthers is probably scored in garbage time. This game's handled pretty quickly. Seahawks look good. Geno's looked good all 3 weeks, even though they lost that first week. I think they're a good team, and they'll handle this pretty easily.
Yeah, I think so also. Now we're going to probably move on to the least interesting game of this weekend. Should be a blowout. Nothing should be competitive here. I really don't think so. Bears at Chiefs. I just can't see this game being interesting at all. I don't even want to explain my reasoning anymore. I've talked about how much I hate that I hate him, but just like the fact how overhyped this Bears team was coming into this year, how I never understood it. And I still don't understand it. I think a lot of people are catching up with that line of thinking after seeing those first 2 weeks of play. So I'm taking the Chiefs in this game. I think their offense is finally going to step it up against that weak Bears defense, 41-20. And those Bears points are coming in garbage time.
Yeah, I agree. I think less time on this game spent, the better. Chiefs are going to win. Something to the similar effect. I'll go 38-10.
Yeah.
I don't think Justin Fields doesn't look like he's learned anything in his past 3 years, and I think the Chiefs handled themselves.
He's honestly looked like he's regression. Like it looks like a regression year, which is
He's looked
terrible
like he's
for him.
bought into his own hype and hasn't looked at film at all.
Yeah, exactly. We'll move on from this game since it's just a nothing game of the week. Cowboys at Cardinals. I know a lot of people aren't thinking this is much of a game, but I have a different opinion. But I'll let you start, Andy.
All right, I am gonna go. Cowboys are gonna win this game. I think this is another boring game. I think it's another game that's not going to be competitive. Really, maybe the first quarter is it's kind of like, oh, the Cardinals are giving a little bit of a fight here, but I think their defense is going to be motivated. I think the Cowboys' offense is just going to be kind of going through the motions, and I think this game is won not as high scoring as many think, but I think I'll go 31-7. Cowboys win.
Yeah, that's how I see most people seeing this game. Like most people are believing the Cowboys are probably gonna roll the Cardinals. But this is where I'm different. I got the feeling this Tuesday, for some reason, I feel like this is the game. The Cowboys are just gonna F it up. Like there's always one of these per year for the Cowboys. It's always something. Like last year, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars were like 5-7 going into that game against the Cowboys or something like that. They weren't like a great team, and the
Yeah, but they were
Jaguars pulled it
good.
off. I mean,
They
they
were
were
a good
good,
team.
but they were good. But I've been impressed by the Cardinals these first 2 weeks. I think they've given teams a good run for their money that they probably shouldn't have. I know both teams probably aren't as good as the Cowboys, but with the Cowboys even losing Trayvon Diggs at that practice, I think this helps for my case. Isn't the best thing to help for your case because you never want to see someone go down, but I'll take it because I've been choosing the Cardinals. Upset alert. This could just be because I really want it to happen, but I'm taking the Cardinals 28-25. Their defensive front has looked good the first 2 weeks, so I hope they can get it done for me. And I trust their offense.
We got our first bombshell of the podcast.
Yeah, the first bombshell.
Clear.
If that hits, though, that's a part of one of my bets. That's a big bet if it hits.
There you go. And what'd you say? You're
I'm gonna
one
use-
grand richer?
Yeah, that would be wild, but it also has to go with some of the other upsets I chose. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick though.
Can we pause it? Is it possible?
Or
just edit it out?
I can just edit it out, this part. Okay, so next game, Steelers at Raiders. And I'll open this one up because, these are my boys. These are my boys. I'm pretty biased, but I really do think the Steelers are going to win this week. I think it's going to be another ugly game. The Steelers just, for the past 2 years, have consistently played the most ugly games in football. So I think this will be an ugly one. It will probably be defense. Both defenses probably force a couple turnovers. But I think our defense has the upper edge. The Raiders defense really doesn't have much going for it besides Matt Crosby, who will probably apply some pressure throughout the game. But besides him, I don't see much of an impact on that Raiders side. And also that Raiders offense, just besides Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a dog also. But besides those two, there ain't really much. I don't really trust Jimmy too much against my defense. I really do think the Steelers defense has the potential to be like a top 5 defense in the league, but we really haven't showed it too much through the first 2 weeks. But I'm going to take us winning this game 26-23 in a weird one. You know how the Steelers play. Always a weird game. So 26-23 Steelers.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders are a high flying offense, and Jimmy. I think that Week 1 win said more about the Broncos' deficiencies than it did about the Raiders' successes. I think this is a game that the Steelers actually handle fairly easily, but it is still a close game. One of those games that's close in scores, but when you watch it, you're like, there's clearly a better team here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like 14-6. I don't even think the Raiders get a touchdown in this game.
14-6 Steelers. I like it. We'll just keep it moving on because let's not focus on the Steelers too hard because they have really been depressing. But Eagles at Buccaneers, first Monday night game. We got 2 of them tonight. Eagles at Bucs. I'll let you open up with this one. Eagles at Bucs.
I think this is a close game. I think the Buccaneers defense keeps them in this game, and I think Baker's actually played surprisingly well with this offense. He's got some decent weapons around him. But I think the Eagles are going to slowly but surely continue to get better, and their offense is going to continue to click and kind of figure out what they're doing post Shane Steichen, and Brian Johnson will kind of get more of a handle on what he's doing offensively. And I think the Eagles win this game in kind of a fashion that they did last year, where like the first half was close and then they kind of start closing it out. I'm going to go Eagles win it like 28-17.
So it is that we are disagreeing on another game this week.
There we go.
Because
by God,
I am an underdog guy this week. For some reason, I like the Bucs a lot. Like, I don't know, Baker has improved. Like, he's like the elites of elite, but he's played good enough to like win the games. He's put up good stats through those the second game, most importantly, he put up big stats against the Bears, which is good. I know the Bears don't have a good defense, but he showed that he can get it done against lower performance teams. I like the Buccaneers defense a lot. I still think Devin White's a dog. I think Levante David is an all-time linebacker. He's so good. Also, their secondary is pretty impressive. Their front line is still elite. You got Shaq Barrett, who can get pressure any play. You got Vita Vea, who is another person that can imply pressure up that front, like in the interior part of the line. So I'm actually going to take the Bucks here in a close one. If they're going to win, it has to be close because the Bucks will not blow out this game.
We got another bombshell on our hands.
Absolutely.
They're gonna blow out
28-24. 28-24 Buccaneers. Another team that I'm riding high with. Hopefully they don't let me down this week, but another team I'm riding high after their 2-0 start. For some reason, I've been supporting them NFC South teams this year. Didn't think they would have that good of a year coming into this year, but I've really liked what they've shown me.
You just got that pity feeling for them. You're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna say they're gonna. I'm gonna have an all NFC South NFC Championship game. We're going Panthers Bucks.
No way, I'm going Panthers. I'd maybe go Saints Bucks, but Saints probably
Bucks.
not.
There we go. Yeah. All right, and then we got one more. We got one more Monday night game, right? For some reason, they did two.
Yes,
double
Rams at Bengals, and I'll start this one off. I'm pretty confident in my choice. I liked what the Rams have shown me through the first 2 weeks. They had an impressive win over Seattle week 1, shutting down that Seattle offense for the second half. Last week they might have lost, but I thought it was out of losses, it was one of the more moral victory losses you could have seen, losing only 23 to 30 to the 49ers, and it is an impressive win to it's an impressive loss to me, just because the 49ers clearly have, I honestly think they have the best roster in football. I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. So them staying around in that game for a long time was pretty impressive to me. I like their young receivers. You got Tutu Atwell and what's that other guy's name? Nakua or something like that?
Yeah, Tuka and Pua or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude. He's been lighting it up. He's been one of the best receivers in the league to start the year. And I think this is a good, honestly, losing Cooper Kupp for the beginning of the year might have been the best thing. I mean, it hurts losing Cooper Kupp, but it kind of helped the Rams out because they got so much young talent that it allows Matt Stafford to get adequated with those young receivers like Tutu Atwell and Nakua, whatever his name is.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase. But he's been killing it. He's put up great numbers as a receiver. And the Bengals haven't been impressive at all. The Bengals, I think Joe Burrow's leg injury has been more significant than what has led on to be. So I'm honestly taking the Rams here and kind of a stomping, 35-24 Rams.
Oh, wow.
Well, I just don't have faith in their defense, the Bengals defense.
Yeah, the Bengals roster, when you take a healthy Joe Burrow out of the equation, is not very impressive. Offensively, I mean, obviously you have Chase and Higgins and Boyd and Mixon, but outside of those guys, as stupid as that sounds, defensively, they're pretty average. Offensively, that offensive line is below average. So, if he's not playing to his top level, then they're really in a bad place. And you saw that in the past 2 weeks. I think that they inevitably kind of get it together they went through the same thing the last year. You kind of hope Burrow at some point, you feel like the great ones figure out a way to play through things like this. They figure out a way to make things happen in other ways when they aren't necessarily 100%, and I think he figures that out somehow. And I think the Rams are a team that's overperforming right now. They're not a great team. They're a team that the Bengals should beat, and I think they will beat them. I'm going to go Bengals in a not great game, 24-14. Excuse me. A lot of
Yeah, I
burps
don't
this
know.
episode.
Yeah, a lot of burps for sure. That's what happens when drinks have been involved. But
That Kool-Aid,
the
baby.
Bengals have been interesting this year. I feel like there is an opportunity that the Bengals don't even start Joe Burrow this weekend because, like, he hasn't been healthy the first 2 weeks, and you can kind of tell that. He hasn't been throwing with the same zip on the ball. Like, it's just their offense has looked lackluster the first 2 weeks, and with someone like Joe Burrow, you expect that team to be, like, putting up big numbers, and, like, you can tell something's wrong with him when those big numbers aren't coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if they want any kind of hope of getting anything going, he needs to get healthy, and if that means that they need to sit him, then that's what they need to do. I don't see them doing that, honestly. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you just hear my stomach?
No, I didn't hear your stomach.
Oh
I
my
did not
god!
hear
I
your
don't think
stomach.
it's ever made a sound that loud. In the middle of me talking, it was just like, um, just interrupted about Joe Burrow. But if they have any aspirations of doing anything even remotely close to what they did the last 2 years, they need him to be healthy. And whether that is playing through it and just kind of figuring out a way to get accustomed to it, or whether that is sitting him for a few weeks and just hoping he can catch fire with them towards the end of the season.
See, I kind of think they need to sit him because, like, I don't think they realized how severe the injury was to him because he just hasn't looked like the same player the first 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may have a point. It's I think this week if he doesn't, I think they will play him this week, and if it's the same story as far as him just looking limited mobility wise, the throws aren't looking that great, then you will see them take action as far as like maybe he needs to sit a few weeks. But if it looks like he's progressing, then maybe they take steps as far as like, maybe we'll just sit him during practice a few times, things like that, and
Yeah.
then just keep him going. But, we'll see. I think they right the ship in some form this week.
Yeah. I could see it happening, but for some reason I've been high on the Rams since the year began. I like Matt Stafford still. I think they have the veteran leadership in the right positions. Like, you got Aaron Donald on the defense, you got Matt Stafford on the offense, and the rest of their players are kind of young. And those are the two beta leadership roles. I know Matt Stafford, there was a little bit of questioning going into the year because his wife leaked that he couldn't get along with those younger kids, but I feel like that was more kind of
Just made him sound like a
exaggerated.
70-year-old man.
Yeah, it just made him sound like the
He
worst dude ever. But it
was
sounds
like, he's
like
got a
it
walker,
seems.
actually.
Yeah, it's like, oh, damn, this man can't even see anymore. But but it seems like they're making it work out. So I feel like the Rams have kind of been slept on by most people. I have been supporting them throughout the first start of the year, so I'm gonna kind of support the Rams throughout the rest of the year. I kind of like their little setup. I like the veteran leadership in the positions they got. I like the youth movement at wide receiver and on the defensive side. So I think they'll be able to hold it down and maybe make a playoff push by the end of the year.
Stick to them. There we go. And then if
Yeah.
they do make the playoffs, we can bring this episode back up. The episode
Yeah.
that the two hosts were plastered on
The
Kool-Aid.
episode where we're both feeling nice.
Both feeling clutch.
Well, hey, this could be either our worst show, our worst prediction week, or it could top our last one.
It could. Who knows? You never know.
We
That's the
did
beauty of
solid
football.
in the first one. If you guys don't respect that first episode where we were putting out just straight truths,
Yeah,
12, 11, and 4 in two people's debut is beautiful. Like that is one of
undefeated
the
after the 1 o'clock window. That's the big thing.
yeah
So
undefeated
if you
after the
get
1
us,
o'clock window.
we're like werewolves. But like the werewolves of predictions. Like you get us after the sun's going down. Like we're
We're pretty
100%.
set. But I
Yeah.
mean, this week could be different. We're both going to be wrong. Let me count this up real quick. One of us has to be wrong in at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 games we disagreed on this week.
There we go. We got some
There
variety
we
this
go.
week.
We do got some
All right.
variety this week. Last week I felt like it was kind of like, it kind of was like, you can kind of see what's going to happen.
We followed the beaten trail. The beaten
Well,
path.
honestly, if you took a look at Vegas and like the over and like the point spreads, we took a lot of the underdogs last week, and we still came out on top. So I think
we're
we're
just
just the
psychics.
most, we're just the most brilliant people in sports.
Yeah.
So listen to us.
Exactly.
After this week, we'll decide who is the most brilliant because we split on 7 games this week. So
on
it will
Tuesday,
be interesting to see.
Tuesday, we'll know who the true pick'em god is.
Yes, exactly,
Tuesday will
exactly.
reveal.
What if we just split like 4-3? One of us
Again.
just barely squeaks out. Last week we had an even number, so we could like go down the middle. But this week there's that odd. But like if it's 4-3, it's still pretty like there. Like we're both
still right there.
Still, yeah.
It'll
be interesting.
All right, is that a wrap for episode 3?
I think that is a wrap.
Somehow, some way, we came to the very end. If you're still listening to this, as I always say,
we appreciate you.
We appreciate you, number 1. But number 2, you need to send us your information so that we can contact the police, because we clearly have a stalker, and we need the police to know about you so that they're on your radar if either one of us go missing.
Yes, exactly. Can't have any of us going missing.
So what we're saying is, like, if we have any fans at all, that we're very wary of you.
We're very aware that you might want to steal us, and if you do, we are the 2 most important people in sports broadcasting right now. So, the 2 most correct, maybe. I don't really know, but I feel like we have to be up there with the 2 most correct people.
2 people making decisions, making choices. That's what we are.
Yes, absolutely.
That's all you got to know. And that's why you should listen to us. 2 people making choices, listen to our
like
choices.
The goddamn president.
Exactly. We make decisions, we don't think about them. All right. Farewell until Tuesday, everybody.
Farewell.
Go O's.
Yes.